Alright, hello everyone, this is Jakekub, and we're doing another one of these. We're going over the making of the Desire Season 8 intro. I am in Mumble because New Dawn Survivor is a thing that's going on right now, so you might hear some noises in the background every once in a while, but just ignore those. I'm just doing this while a challenge is going on, and I don't have to be doing much. So first of all, you'll notice that there's markers. So what the markers mean... the markers are, I believe that these represent, like, I don't know. They represent something or other. I think they represent, like, alternating positions for the players, which I'll get to. Before I get too in detail, let's watch this intro, though. Maybe we shouldn't be watching it because it is extremely laggy in Premiere. If you haven't seen the intro, you can go find it on my channel. It's somewhere around here. So, I'm gonna go through this step by step. So, first thing we got here is we got this white fog thing here. I don't know. The song, I'm gonna start with the song, actually. I picked out this song. I've been wanting to use it for a long time, and for the name Desire Domination, I feel like the song just really emphasizes that very well. It's got like a dark tone, and it like just has that domination vibe. Like it has a strong. You get what I'm trying to get at. So that's why I picked out the song. The opening was the last thing that I did in the intro because I literally had no fucking clue what I was gonna do with this. So I did, and I went a little uncreative and I just, I slapped all of the Desire intros together on the beat. It's hard to notice, but Season 1 is there. And then, so we've got the white fog over these things. The names of the seasons. Just to kind of have it fade in a little bit better, I think. The clouds are going to fade out. And then we just go into this, basically list of things, like iconic moments from Desire. So we've got a lot of the monuments in here. We've got the Desire 2 finale, My Desire 4 finale, Len Boy and Desire 7, another monument, Desire 5 craziness, another monument, Desire 3 finale, Desire 5 finale, Desire 4 finale, Desire 6, Desire 2 craziness, there's 4 people there, more from Desire 6, yeah, it basically just goes to be somewhat like what distincts the Desire seasons, and they actually repeat. So we got here, and then I just make them go faster here, this part, but as the moments repeat, like you'll notice they repeat. And I didn't really want to do that. I just kind of got lazy. So what starts to happen is we've got this adjustment layer here, and what it does is it starts to blur the background, and it also starts to tint the background. And I use the tint to get it to a white background. That's really it. There's other ways I could have made the white background, but using the tint effect. And usually it's a black and white, so if I change this to black, it'll be like black and white. But if you change both of them to white, if you change both of them to the same color, it'll do a solid color background. You can fade into that or whatever. That's kind of just something I found. Let's see. So we got the adjustment layer. This only works on the clips. Just covers that up. And then we've got the Desire Domination logo here. And it very simply, it scales downwards from 500 to 100. Yeah. That's basically it. There really isn't too much else today. it scales down without any real change in degree, which maybe I should have done that there. But once it hits this point here, then it starts to rotate a bit. And it still is slowly scaling down as well. So that way it doesn't like completely stop motion when you start motion. And then you suddenly stop. It just doesn't look good. You gotta keep the motion going if you're gonna have motion at all, really. So that's that. And then, I don't know. I wanted to do Release the Savage here. And I lowered the opacity. No, I didn't lower. Actually, I lowered the opacity in Photoshop because I made the text in Photoshop. So, originally the effect I was going for is kind of like, think about some of those montages where you've got your clip and then you've got the opaque text in the background behind the clip or whatever. And that's kind of the effect I was going for, but it doesn't really work with a black background. Release the Savage. It has like that dark tone to it, like especially the way it's said in the song. Release the Savage. I guess that was kind of just like a connecting thing, not the greatest thing. I probably could have done something more here. Now that I'm thinking about it. But I could have done the Savage. And then, like, on Savage, I maybe could have had, like, something show up in the background. Like, potentially, like, fire or something like that. Because fire or sparks end up playing an effect when we go through choirs. So there's really isn't too much to say. All of the effects, I use a crop for them to go from left to right. And they all go in the same direction. None of them scale or anything. Up until all on this point here, they all start scaling forward and fading out. And yeah, that's that. So, next thing I want to talk about, we've got this background here. The background, it has a long fade in, and it also has a brightness mask. And the reason for this is, I'm just gonna play it. So you see the brightness mask in effect if I click on it, right there. So what the mask does is it darkens the outer edges, so that way when it happens, it like brightens up, and I don't know. It just adds a nice effect. Good lord, okay. Jeez. There's a lot going on in here, so. Yeah, so we got the background. We've got the brightness mask to make it kind of pop, I guess is what I was trying to say. Pop on the, yeah, that right there. On this red marker. The other things that are going on, there's a lot going on. We've got the white fog again, on a 50% opacity. We've got the ember and sparks, which are these little red particles here. And then we've got the vintage film dust, which if I disable these two, the white fog actually makes a big difference. It actually makes a really big difference. Maybe I shouldn't have had the white clouds, because this like almost looks better. Oh well. Either way, maybe I needed it to be a little bit brighter. You can definitely see the mask a lot clearer now that the white fog is disabled. And then the last thing you've got is the 4K this dust. And you see these particles over here, you'll see them kind of move around the screen very randomly. I did have to slow this down a fair bit. If I go to speed duration, it's a 31 speed. That's that. So yeah, those three effects, they kind of just add more depth to the background, so the background isn't very boring. That's basically it. Alright, so That's the background effects. I'm gonna disable them so the video can actually play smoothly. That lags this file a lot. So the other thing that kind of happens is on each of these, on this effect here, I missed it because I was focusing on the brightness mask, but there is a scale. It starts at 500, goes down to 300, and then quickly goes down to like 100. And then on this one here, on all of the beats, it goes, the background, it's hard to notice with all of the overlaying effects to it. But when they're disabled, you can clearly see that the background like scales inwards. It zooms in. And then this repeats on every single clip. Goes from 100 to 110, I believe, on all of them. That's just to add a little bit more dynamic motion to it, I guess. Didn't want the background to seem too stale because when you're working with a solid background when you're working with a solid picture background, you need to make it have motion somehow, some way. Alright, the other thing, I'm going to go over this now. So we've got this up here, we've got just a noise layer. It puts a little bit of noise on the people. So if I disable it, it's kind of hard to notice, but there is a difference. The noise, I think, just adds to the domination effect. It's very minor, and once again, not that easy to see, but it's there, and I think it helps a bit. Alright, so let's talk about the players and the renders now. So we've got the renders on the bottom, and what the renders do is they start out on either side. The players also go in alphabetical order. That's something I usually don't do, but since this is an FFA, I figured I would try it. A lot of it, if you look at it, this intro is actually fairly similar to the way that the AP9 intro was done. So you've got players coming in on both sides, and so for right here we've got Twinkie on the right side, and then we've got the text on the other side, and the main name is going to be brighter than the darker name. Actually, I just messed that up for Twinkie. Twinkies should have been the other way around. I don't know. The text is it's supposed to like distinguish people, like what people go by. And evidently I did not do a very good job at that, at the start at least. Twinkies was the wrong way around. BJ's was right. Bobby's was weird, because Bobby kind of has three parts to his name. There's Bobby the turtle, so I had to use 3 different colors. He was the only one I had to do that for, though. So yeah, we've got that, and the other thing is that depending on which side it's on, the drop shadow is going to face a certain way. So if it is in the top left corner, it is going to be pointing out to the top left corner, and if it is the top right corner, it is going to be pointing out that way. The other thing you'll notice is that for Twinkie here, sorry about that. For Twinkie here, it's in 2 layers. That's because his name is a long one. And if I did it, long names, if I did it all one way, there would be a lot of empty space. I was trying to fill up space so the background wasn't terribly focused. You don't want to put focus on the background, really. The background just needs to be there to set the tone. So we've got, that's basically it, really. You've got the scale effect that's going on here, and that's literally all it is. There isn't any movement in the positioning or anything. It's literally just all a scale, and it just keeps on scaling. And the other thing that happens is as the next player starts to come in, that player just starts to fade out and zoom in a bit. But it's very, very simple copyable effect, for the players at least. I didn't want it to be too boring, so what I ended up doing, just kind of as a filler effect, is on the second beat for the players, I just did a directional bore diagonally. Just because if I didn't do that, it would be, you'd lose attention to the intro. Like, something needs to be happening like pretty much every second for you to like not lose focus and think the intro is bland. Like, especially with the pacing that I set up earlier on, with the very fast clips. So I needed to keep that pace going. So I added kind of that filler effect just to have something there on that beat. So that's really it. And then there's just a dissolve to the next player, and it just rotates sides. It's really that simple. There isn't that much to it. On this beat here, Born is going to tint. This is the tint effect, and here it is. It's black and white. It's gonna. I didn't do a full black and white. I did a partial black and white, just to kind of do a slower fade out. And then the opacity also decreases earlier. And there isn't the on the text. There isn't the directional blur. The directional blur is gone. Let's go to the normal. Over here we've got that beat, the three drums. So what I did is a brightness layer, and it goes from 30 to 20, and then on the next beat is going to go from 35 to 25, and then on the last beat is going to go from 40 to 30. So the brightness increases every time, so it's getting more intense because I feel like the drums are getting more intense. And the cappy text is also going to scale. The cappy text is gonna like boom boom. It's gonna go with the drum beat. It's gonna scale inwards. Also at an increasing rate. So we're starting at 116.8 here. We're starting at 119 here, and then we're starting at 120 here. So it is increasing at each one, and that's really it for the cappy part. And we just fade into the next one, and we just keep going. This phased text, I did something with the position. Yeah, there was definitely a change in positioning that I just forgot to note when I was originally doing it, and that would make sense because they're practically right on top of each other. But I guess it kind of works for phased, because phased is the one where it's the slow fade out. So I don't know. I guess it's passable. Alright, here we go. This is the last interesting part. So, we've got this interesting, like, that there. I don't know how to explain it. It's part of the sound that makes you think domination. So, what we got going on here, we've got three iconic moments in Desire history. We've got the Desire 3 finale from Zenneker's point of view, and what I did is I did a directional blur in, which is kind of hard to notice, and there's also an offset, so it zooms in from right to left. Well, it slides in from right to left as Kyurem fades out. And you've got the Gaussian blur mask in a custom shape to focus on the bow. It's also scaled inwards at 140, yeah. And position is different as well. I wanted to make sure that the center of the image was the bow. There's a feather on it. So if I remove this Gaussian blur, that's what it's going to look like. It's not a good look, really. It brings your center of attention to the bow. Like if I click off of this, you look at the bow because the rest of it is blurred. There isn't anything else to look at. I feel like maybe I should have made the feather bigger. But then we've got the directional blur lines again. And once again, we've got the custom mask that blurs out an area. And once again, it's a zoom in on the bow. So Desire 3 and Desire 4, I feel like, are two of the best seasons of Desire. So I made sure to use those seasons and use like an iconic moment, and I ended up being a part of that. I don't like using my own footage in stuff that I make, like for other people. That's just my thing, though. And then for the last part, there's like a hoo. So I did a cross zoom to this shot right here from Desire 7 of Len Boy. And it's a fairly intense shot because there's two people. I didn't want to make all them bow shots because that's kind of boring and dull. I feel it would get repetitive quick. I wanted to make it stand out. Then we got the fade out. It's just the same thing with all the people again. And for the end credits, let's move on to those. We've got the text here, and there's different pieces. So we got organization. I stuck with the very gray theme throughout the entirety of it. So we've got organization, we've got the players in the dark text color, just like kind of what people were called, like with brick here. Brick is the darker text, so the darker text is going to be the players here as well. And then we've got the dashes. I don't know. I just kind of like how this looks. We've got the line underneath it to kind of have separation. I feel like I could have lined the Michael and Tommy better. This piece of text is probably my least favorite one. The other ones came out decent. And once again, we've got the directional blur just to keep going with that. And since this is all centered, I don't have to worry about sides. This is better for the text, I feel. We got intro and logo, we got the line, and we got me. And then we got the directional blur, except this one goes up. Alternation. It's not boring, it's not bland. Okay. And we got the last part, which is going to, or we got a little bit more. This all scales in, by the way, so it starts at like 0 and then scales in, which I think is fairly obvious. But and then we got the opacity. We got the directional blur. Actually, there's no directional blur for Pelargo here, because it's one of those like longer fade outs, which kind of works. So there's an even amount of both kinds of directional blurs. The line also lines up with text. So like, if the organization line went out to like here, that wouldn't make sense for the plugin text. It would just look weird. So I made sure the line was equal to the text above. And then the directional blur. And we got the music. And we got the fade out. And I didn't know what to fill here, so I kind of just left it open. Transition into this last part, which is, it's working with the mask. So we've got the mask, and it is a brightness on the edge, and it kind of zooms in. It zooms in on the thing and then zooms out a little bit. I wanted to originally do something like footsteps here. I was imagining footsteps. So... But what I ended up coming up with was that mask on the outside to kind of focus inwards. And then part of the domination game mode was if you had control of the monuments, you'd get certain rewards. So these items were some of the rewards you could get. You could get potions, you could get gold, XP bottles, diamonds, arrows. And then there's just 2 more to fade out the intro. And that is the making of the Desire 8 intro. I think I went over everything. I don't believe I missed anything, but hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you with the next intro that I make.